Hello, everyone, and welcome to Soul Professional Global Conversation Series. What happens when curious minds, conscious leaders, and soul-led innovators come together to explore the questions humanity is finally ready to ask? Welcome to the Soul Professional Global Conversation Series, where curiosity leads, consciousness expands, and science meets soul. This series opens a space for global dialogue at the intersection of human potential, reinvention, leadership, metaphysics, science, spirituality, culture, and the unseen forces shaping our world. At the heart of these conversations is the soul professional, the bridge builder, the one who stands between worlds, between logic and intuition, science and soul, structure and spirit, who we've been and who we are becoming. Here, we're not offering answers, we're opening portals, and each episode invites you into thoughtful, honest conversations exploring what it means to live, lead, and create in a rapidly shifting world without hierarchy, doctrine, or dogma. Just real dialogue, real curiosity, and global perspectives. Whether you're a seeker, a leader, a visionary, or simply someone who feels the shift happening within yourself and around you, this series offers a place to explore the edges of consciousness and possibly together. I am your host, Camille Miller, and I am joined by my co-hosts, Adam Guzman-Poole and Adam Dickinson, which we will bring into our spotlights. Hello, guys. How are you?
Hey, Camille.
Hi.
Fabulous, fabulous. How you doing?
I'm doing fabulous. And I'm really excited because this is our first episode of our series. And this has been a long time coming. We want to welcome our first time listeners. If you're here, welcome. And thank you so much for listening. I want to talk a little bit, start with the three of us, just talking about how this series came to be. And then we're going to talk a little bit in this episode just about why this even exists. And I think the easiest thing to say, this series came out of conversations that we've had around the soul professional movement, which, if you're not familiar with, is a global call for impact-driven humans to come together and help each other rise. So the soul professional community is, right now we're in 30 countries. So hopefully by next season, we're going to be in a lot more. But we are in 30 countries, and we are a collaborative of people coming together to really shift what is happening in the world and help each other rise. We say a soul professional is someone who lives in a higher vibration, has an alternative approach to business, and is here to help repair the world. So if that sounds like you, I am really glad you found us. And this series felt like the next bridge to what we're doing. And we've had conversations about global conversations. And one of my things was I felt like we needed to bring conversations to the table, but to open portals, not to answer any of the questions. We don't have the answers, but just to have really intelligent conversation about what's going on. And I have asked my two co-hosts to come in and be a part of this because I thought our three brains together would be better than my one brain. And you guys look at life in a little different perspective than I look. I'm very logically brained. I know we also have some logically brained people here, but we have such diverse backgrounds, and I just thought the questioning would be really cool. So that's why I asked my two co-hosts here. And the next two series, the next two episodes, we are going to individually interview my two co-hosts. So Adam Dickinson will be episode 2, and Adam Guzman-Poole will be episode 3. So please listen to those. But I'd love to open up and start by asking you guys questions before you ask me questions of why you wanted to be a part of this series and how you see it going. If anyone wants to jump in. Oh, I want to say one more thing for our listeners. This is all unedited. We have decided to put out a podcast that is completely unedited. unless we get about information that we have to edit out, but completely unedited for a reason. That is the way we've chosen to do it. And I just think it's more authentic if we just be who we are. So I
No
just,
AI here.
yeah. So, Adam Dickinson, why did you decide to join us and be a part of this conversation?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me and thanks for starting things off, Camille. Adam Guzman Poole, it's good to see you again and glad to have this conversation. So, for me, I am a logic to intuition integration advisor serving as a future self strategist who currently I'm helping U.S. federal workers transition their careers into something that's new and more aligned. And for this conversation in particular, I've just kind of noticed where I have gone in my career, which I just left the Federal Bureau of Investigation as an intelligence analyst, and noticed that there's a larger conversation happening, and in particular with the individuals that I'm looking to support right now on not many people are doing so great. So it's I think there's a time where right now, not many people are seeing how logic is helpful as much anymore. And so there's a deeper conversation happening. I think that people are generally yearning and needing sort of that inner guidance, that inner intelligence, if you will, to help navigate what's happening in the world, whether it's in the United States or outside the United States and other parts where my co-host Adam might be located. And I'm really excited to have this conversation because I have a more of a long-term vision of integrating more of that inner intelligence into decision making. And I think it starts with this conversation we're having now and being part of that soul professional movement.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's also important to mention, I'm trying to pin people here differently. So if you're my listeners, if you're watching us on YouTube, that's what I'm trying to do right now. To uh, be a part of, oops, wait, I got an error message. I don't even know what I'm doing at this point. So we'll just leave you two up. So what I wanted to mention was I believe that we're living in a time where people are holding multiple truths, right? And we look at the soul professional is the intersection of science and soul, or creativity and practicality, or your logical and your spiritual. And I felt like this series, we're going to bring it all out. And that was like the beauty of it. Yeah, so I love that you're with us. And one of the reasons I chose you is because of your FBI analyst brain, but you're also an amazing intuitive and Akashic record reader, and you have this whole other side. So you are truly the soul professional. And I thought you'd be a great co-host for this. So
Yeah, I'm excited.
glad that you're joining us. All right, my next one is Adam Guzman Poole. And why did you decide to be a part of this? And I should say that this Adam, Adam G, we'll call you, has been um, a big shining light for me behind this whole professional movement, because it was probably about a year ago where we met in a networking group. And I was telling you about the movement. And you're like, so why aren't we putting it out there? Why aren't we doing more? Like, and you're the one who really pushed me to put it back out there. And this all came from that effort. So you were like, the wind beneath me that helped me rise and bring this back out. So I am very grateful for all of your stuff. So of course we wanted you on it. But I also love how you are so heart-centered, and the beautiful book that you just put out on love, and how you ground us and center everything. So I felt like you would be a beautiful voice in here too. But tell me why you did it.
Well, thank you, Camille. Very warm introduction and welcome. Really an honor to be here. And I think for me, when we first had our conversation, Camille, we talked about it was during uh, some a pretty tumultuous times politically. There was such
Yeah,
intensity. I mean, there was. I mean, there
there
continues
still
to
is.
be. Yeah, there still continues to be, and it seems to be growing by the day. And I feel like we were talking about this big problem that we were facing in this world, and it was like, gosh, like there is corruption, there is greed, there is intensity out there in the world, and we have to do something about it. And through that conversation, you talked about this movement. You talked about conscious leaders, bridge builders, people coming together to actually change the status quo. And I guess that's where I said, well, let's do something about it. Let's make this happen. So I just want to say that I guess for the listeners, this is really I mean, we're having this show, but if you're this type of person, it's like this is really about opening this conversation to, making that change, right? To
Yeah.
making that change in the world, and we can't do it alone. We can only do it together. And they say two heads are better than one, and we have three conversations right now, and we also have you as well. So reaching out and looking forward to this conversation growing even bigger.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. All
Mhm.
right, I'm going to bring everybody back into the spotlight. I don't know how to add me.
We need you, Camille. We need you, Camille. We can't just have you can't just have you the voice of Oz
Yeah,
in
I
the
know.
back.
I can't figure out. Oh, I
I
can
think
do
there you are.
me, and
There
then
you
yeah,
are.
but now you guys aren't here.
That's okay. You can jump
That is
back and
really
forth.
weird. And I only do two. Oh, add here. There. Now we got three of us. Okay. Yeah. So thank you. Yeah, I think I love the idea of us coming together. As you can tell, we're still trying to figure it all out. And I think that is actually the beauty of it, because I love the authenticity of how it's gonna do. But I took out one of our my notebook from one of our meetings when we talked about like what are we gonna talk about. So I thought we'd let the listeners know what they can kind of see happening over this series. So it's going to be anything from, we talked about AI consciousness, medical mediums, UFOs and intelligence. That's Adam Dickinson's connections, remote viewing, Akashic records, past lives, divine feminine, um, the age of Aquarius, astrology, channeling, shamanism. We talked about elder wisdom, universal law, human potential. So I feel like we're going to go all over, and I love it. And I love that the soul professional community has so many people doing really cool things all over the world. And one of the things that I get to do is when people tell me, this is what I'm thinking about bringing to the world. And I'm like, I've never heard of that before. Or I've never seen that, those two modalities put together, or whatever it is, right?
Mm,
That now we get to really go deep into interviewing people and talking about what's possible. And and hopefully if you're a very logically brained individual and you're listening, and you're not quite taking the full swim into the spiritual side or the energy that we're feeling, um, we can help you kind of decipher some of it. We're going to try to ask the questions that we think our listeners would love to hear, right?
mm,
And if you're really spiritual, maybe on the other side, we'll show you some logic, because I'm a big believer. I definitely stand in the intersection.
yeah.
But I'm a big believer that the science is behind all of our spirituality. Like we know that, right? There is so much science that backs what we know today. And I think this is the perfect time for the conversations to be happening. And I'm hoping, I don't know if it'll be this season, but in the seasons to come, maybe we'll be good enough that we can have an audience or a live audience,
Yeah.
like a backstage pass or something.
That
Yeah.
would be fun.
Yeah, looking forward to that time. And I just want to kind of jump on what you were saying, Camille. And I think this is really a powerful time to be in because
Agreed.
right now we are seeing so much advancement in science that it's actually echoing what a lot of ancient wisdom traditions have been saying for
Absolutely.
thousands of years. So now we're not actually seeing them as separate, but there's actually these two parts that can go together, right? Which is, I think, a really exciting time to be alive.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm also hoping that this helps find people identify themselves, right? If you're questioning both sides, because I get a lot of people, I've been doing this for 10 years since I've had the community, and I felt like sometimes there were coming out parties of people like, oh my God, I've never told anybody, but I feel this, or I know this, or, I have this whole psychic side to me, but, as a scientist, I can't tell anyone, right? I can't not tell you how many times I've gotten those calls, those messages, that thing. Adam Dickinson, I see you smiling and laughing.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah. I mean, I know you're on the hot seat, so I'm ready to follow up on that, but keep going.
yeah, no, go. You can,
Okay. So, building upon that, I'm getting this theme of, what is the soul professional? So, how do you see the soul professional sort of bridging worlds right now? I feel like that you hit a lot of duality, you hit a lot of
yeah,
masculine and feminine energy right now.
yeah.
How are you seeing that unfold?
So great question. I've always felt that the soul professional is hiding among us in every profession, in all industries. And it's really um, uh, um, kind of a mirror. So they start to see themselves. Does that make sense? Like, I've always been who I've always been, and you guys have always been who you are, right? But all of a sudden, when you start to see other people, like, oh, I'm kind of sciencey and souly, like I bridge those two words. So I always say I see the soul professional. If you can picture like two rivers that are flowing, like a really logical river, and I've always stood right in the science. Like
Yeah.
that's just who I am. I'm very logically brained. I stand in the science, but I have this incredible other river that's run parallel to it my whole life. I was doing Earth Day in Central Park in the 80s, right? I came from an organic agricultural background. I believe in holistic medicine and very often choose the alternative methods over, right? Like, this has always been who I've been, but I've always been both worlds. So what I see is now these rivers are starting to intersect because there is no other way to go forward. So, oh look, I raised my hand. So so the soul professional stands in that intersection, that confluence. It
Yeah.
is the bringing together of the alignment and the coherence. So not only do we have our core values and know who we are in the world, but it also has to feel good and regulate in our body,
Yeah.
right? So we're also doing the inner work for the outer success.
Yeah, I love that, Camille. If I may build on that, I think from what I'm seeing or what I've heard too, coming from the U.S. government and the U.S. intelligence community, I had a conversation today that kind of hit on that. Actually, previous CIA executive I was talking to, and she was pointing out that if I was still, I guess, in the intelligence community, that um, the I'm just curious on where decision makers, where their minds are at, but the energy is different. It's shifted. Logically, I think right now there just does not seem a lot of coherence or it doesn't
Right.
you would expect one thing but then you find out that something else and happened altogether and where I'm getting with this is that I think the vibe, the energy, the gut response is playing a larger role right now, especially with combining these different parts of an individual, and the inner
Yeah,
sort of awareness is playing a larger role right now.
absolutely. And I think that resonance is going to play more of a larger role as we go forward, right? So, I went to school all, in the 80s and early 90s, and it was a lot about money and greed and all of that. So I find in the business world where I mostly am, is there's this need now for authenticity, but also, and because you've gone through my programs, I teach of this the place of feeling it in your body. If it doesn't feel good, right, you shouldn't be doing it.
Mm.
And that's a part of what we're going to see going forward. And we're seeing that, like, we're seeing mass exit out of federal jobs and
Yeah.
corporations and all of this others. We're seeing exits because it doesn't resonate with us anymore. It doesn't feel good with, I would say it doesn't make our heart sing,
Yeah.
right? And I do believe that going forward, people are going to start creating things that feel good and resonate in their body.
Yeah, I like that. Adam, curious, what are you seeing on your end of the world? I know you're in a different part of it, so are you seeing something similar?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely I think it's a global as we're talking, it's a global conversation that we're having, right? And this is I believe really this global theme of merging the heart and the head. There's a Cherokee proverb that says that, the longest distance is from the head to the heart, right? It's the longest journey you'll ever take. But I feel like we're kind of on this journey together, and we're kind of moving in a more of this heart-centered place where but it's really interesting because at the same time we have this, like, we have such a head center with AI, artificial intelligence. It's just like pure logic, right? Like if you're talking to AI, this is pure logic. And really, like, AI is amazing. It's so supportive. But I think what a lot of people are lacking and longing are like, well, where's the heart? Where's the soul? And so we really, right now, more than ever, we need to find that bridge. We need to find that bridge and really, um, I mean, especially if you're talking about business, like the businesses that are going to succeed, they're going to be able to use AI. Yes. Like you can't not use AI because you're probably not going to be able to keep up with everyone else going. But if you just use AI, if you just use logic, like you're not going to touch people's hearts, right? The people that are going to really last are going to find that equal center between both. And so it's an amazing conversation we're having. But I'd like to throw it back to you, Camille. And
Okay.
yeah, I just love to learn a bit more about your story, kind of like what brought us here to this moment, and like, like, what was the birthing of, like, how did Camille birth the Soul Professional movement? Where did the vision come from?
Yeah, thank you. So my background was not-for-profit work. The job I had before here, I was working on our organic label in the United States. But it was in that job that I saw people that were working on Wall Street and in logical jobs and attorneys, and they were doing the thing, but then in their personal life, they were kind of like me. They were, this whole different person, right? They were using the alternative medicine, they were eating organic food, they were very spiritual beings. So when that job defunded in 2015, I really wanted to really dive into that world and help people bring their gifts to the world. And that's where it all started as a little coffee club in New Jersey. And then we went to like Pennsylvania and Delaware and New York, and we started to grow and grow and grow. And then at the end of 2017, I got a call from someone in California that said, "Oh my gosh, I can't wait for you to come out here. Um, I've been watching you." And I knew in that moment I did not have a sustainable model because I was a single mom. I had 3 kids at home. And I was like, okay, I can't really travel the world or fly to California to sign people up for my coffee club. It just didn't make sense on any level. But I heard of this thing called Zoom. And I should add that I'm claircognizant. So sometimes I just get messages. And I had an absolute knowing that our world was going to go to a video model. I didn't know it was Zoom, but a video model. So I started to tell my community, hey, we're going to start to meet on Zoom. And nobody wanted to turn on their camera. It was like a nightmare. You thought 2020 was bad. Oh my God. In 2018, it was crazy and nobody would believe me. And I was like, this is going to be it. And if you want to have coffee with me, we're going to start doing coffee with Camille every month on video until you get used to it. And that's what happened. We still have all those recordings, but I started to teach business and have my community meet me on Zoom. And by 2019, we went international because I got certified in Psych-K. And that was mostly people found me internationally. And in 2020, you may remember that we had this global pandemic. And we almost imploded because so many people started pouring into the community because we didn't have to pivot, we didn't have to change, we didn't have to do anything. We had everything working for us already. But we almost imploded because when you scale that quickly, you don't have the background, you don't have the back office to, I was still working with paper documents and it was nothing was automated. So that's what happened. And then we adopted the Soul Professional, which also came to me one night and I just woke up and trademarked it. That I knew that was the coming of the two worlds, and the word was called Soul Professional. So we moved to the Soul Professional movement from that point forward. And here we are. Now we're across 30 countries and, we probably have I think we have like between 10 and 13,000 people following us, depending on like where and how. And, because then I wrote books and people started following us. So, and then the school we opened up last year. So that has brought more people in. So.
Beautiful.
So yeah, that's the short story.
Yeah. The short story of a long story.
That's the short story of a long story, right?
Well,
Yeah.
well, I have a following question, but just
Okay.
also just a note that, since you're claircognizant, so the next time you get an idea like that, tell me so that I can buy some stocks from Zoom or the next thing that's going to
Well,
be big,
the funny thing was in October of 2019, I called my broker and said, how do I invest in Zoom? I know it's going big.
Oh my gosh. So I talked to my so this is just a side funny note. Like my tax guy,
Yeah.
he was doing my taxes and it was in 2020 and he was so mad because his broker told him not to invest in Zoom. And
So did
and
mine.
he was just like kicking himself. He's like, "Oh, this guy."
So did mine.
So, okay, right on. Okay, so everyone knows,
Yeah.
along with business advice, you can also get stock advice from Camille. So
No,
just kidding.
no.
Yeah. Okay, so just pausing there for a second, and I'd love to just follow up, and then I'm going to pass it to you, Adam. But just follow up on this question. So now that's the story of like kind of where you've been, and
Yeah.
where do you see the soul professional movement going from here?
So I'd love to be in way more countries, but so the community that I have now is completely free, right? And the reason I do that is because I want to help everyone find their space. So one of my core values is belonging, right? I want people to find a space where they belong and they can express themselves fully and be true and authentic to both sides of who they are, the professional and the spirit led, you know? And my big thing right now is the visibility, more awareness, not visibility. I would say awareness that there is this space that we can all come together and help each other. So it's growing that and letting people know that we exist in the world. Having people sign the pledge is really important. So we do have the pledge with the movement. And really, it's just saying, hey, I'm a good global citizen and I want to help each other rise. And there's like 10 or 12 points to it. And we've had hundreds and hundreds of people that have, pledged, and now they come meet in our networking events. You guys have both been to our networking events.
Mhm.
And we know that these are mostly introverted people. Not everybody, for those of you who are saying, I'm not introverted. But they're people, when I say introverted, they don't get outside validation. They're validated inside. That's an introvert, right? Um, and then, how do we blend into the world? What's our place? But I think our place is really leadership.
Mm.
And I think we're going to start to see all of that coming when we say the divine feminine is rising. That's not a gender thing, that is a piece of all of us, all of us. And it's really leading with the heart, right? So being heart centered will be our future. And we're going to see a blurring of borders and a more oneness around us. Um, and being a soul professional is a part of that. So I really want it to be a safe container. And we're going to we've had a lot of people ask to start doing things in person again. So we're getting ambassadors all over the world that will lead these, and we have 3 starting in March that we're really excited about. And healing circles, which I don't run, other volunteers. So it's just being that central point for people to be a part of us. Yeah.
So if I can build on that, Camille, I'm kind of curious. You touched on an aspect or a question I wanted to just run by you. It seems
Okay.
like there is a lot of different qualities of the soul professional. So who do you find tends to or who tends to find their way into this community? If you could like describe the individuals that might be drawn to this kind of work, what would you say?
That's a hard one. It's really those that are in that the both worlds, the intersection, 1 foot in each, right? They come from all industries though. We have the doctors, the lawyers, the CPAs, the engineers, the analysts, the educators, um, therapists, people in healthcare. Like everyone's just going, this doesn't make my heart sing anymore. Like I really want to make impact in the world. I think impact is an important piece, right? We always say it's one of our taglines is purpose beyond profit, right? Our purpose is important, but so is our profit, because you have to make money to do good in the world, unfortunately. Not all good, but it's important. Um, but impact driven humans, right, that are doing all sorts of great stuff in the world, but they know they're meant for bigger things. And I think that's a big important part of the soul professional is they know they're meant for something more. They're ready to create impact in the world, and they want to do it in a way that's cohesive, that's for the all of humanity, right? Not just certain people, all of humanity. They're seeing the global picture. And that's a big part of who a soul professional is.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I love that a lot.
Thank you.
Adam G, were you going to say something? It looks like you
Yeah,
were.
yeah. I just wanted to share, kind of add on something that what Camille was saying, and I think that part of the soul professional is I think there's some people that are in the more soulful side. They're really, service oriented. They want to give. They want, they're change agents. They want to make a difference. And then also, there's also a lot of people that are entrepreneurs that come to this community, but they have a hard time charging for their worth, right? They have a hard
Yeah,
time, like business is seen as this, we have, because the old paradigm of business has been this
absolutely.
used with to abuse and has been, greedy and these like transnational corporations that aren't really serving, right? They're just
Yeah.
taking. So sometimes I see a lot of soulful people kind of pushing away that they undercharge. They don't fully step into their truth or their power, and they maybe not even make a business because they're like, oh, I just want to do this for free. But you can't really serve as much and have as a big an impact if you're not in alignment with that. So I think that's something really valuable that that the movement offers is it's just like, yeah, you can do what matters to you. You can let your heart sing, you can follow your gifts, and you can make a really good living doing it too, right? It doesn't need to be these separate
Yeah.
things like that I go away and do. Like maybe they can be, but it's like it doesn't need to be. So I just wanted to highlight that because I think that's something really cool that I first appreciated when I came into contact with the movement as well. So
Yeah,
yeah.
thanks. Yeah, in 2020, when we started to go through the pandemic, I had started my first podcast, which is no longer airing. It was called Six Figure Souls, Doing Good and Making Money. And it was all about people that were doing really good things in the world and about their struggles of starting it and, breaking through some earning ceilings and being able to charge, and where they came from. Sometimes it was rags to riches. Sometimes, it was a total career reinvention. But it was important to put those stories out to teach people that we have to make money. And I always say, if you're gifted at something, because a lot of spiritual people, they're gifted at something, but they're like, that comes so naturally. Why would I charge for that? Right. But I'm always like, the same reason a brain surgeon charges, right? They're gifted after they've done it for years. They might be the best, but they work to get there just as every single one of us have worked to get to where we are. And just because something comes naturally to you doesn't make it less valuable, right? It's all really important. And running a business, you still have to pay we still live in a 3D world, right? We love to hang in the 5D, but we live in a 3D world. We still have to pay our bills. And that's really important. And I always tell my clients that you being broke isn't helping anybody. It's not helping anybody.
Mm.
So we have to get you sustainable, um, so you can pay your bills, so you can keep helping people in the world. But it is a big part of it. But I would love for you guys to talk about the community from your side and why you decided to join. I don't even know how you each found us. Well, I think I met each of you in, oh, wait, Adam Dickinson, you were introduced to me, and Adam Guzman Poole, I think I met you in one of our networking events.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
networking session.
Yeah, I met you in networking. Yeah. Yeah. But you both came in and hung around. So what did you guys find, or how about the people that you've met in the community?
Yeah. Adam G, you want to go first? You want me to?
Lead the way, my friend. Lead the way.
Okay, sure. I think yeah, it was a mutual colleague who introduced us,
Yeah.
Camille, and for me, I'll just be honest with you.
Unless
I'm
it's
very
bad,
much
don't say anything bad.
oh
I'm kidding. I'm
oh
kidding.
no, of course not.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, I very much trust my gut, and I think I don't know if you remember this, but I remember this when I first got introduced to you. I There was a competitor of yours who also helps individuals with crafting their companies, their business, and I just was more drawn to your energy and your vibe, and it brought me ease. It felt very chill. It felt easy. It felt natural. And I think like that feeling around taking a pause, especially from coming from the FBI. It's a
Yeah.
very high tempo, very structured, very we need results yesterday sort of mentality. And I going through a lot of different changes myself from meditating to trying to find my purpose to looking at different religions in exploration mode to so on and so forth. I realized that what drew me to you and your community and the Soul Professional is I kind of just wanted the secret sauce of what Camille was doing. And I'm like, how are you so chill and not like freaking out? And I mean, that was part of it, but it was what drew me to you for one of the reasons. And I think for our listeners, the energy that we have in our container that we're holding, I think is really important right now.
Yeah, thank you. Adam G, how about you?
Yeah, thank you. And just following up on the final thought that Adam D shared.
Yeah,
And I just really want to highlight what he said, and this is so, so crucial. The energy that we're holding really is important right now because the energy that, whatever, what you so shall you reap, right?
mm,
So if we're sowing these anxious seeds, trying to get things done, if we're sowing all this, intensity, we're going to only get more of that. So, creating these spaces that are chill, that are calm, right? That we're going to create more of that. And so, yeah, I think for me, when I first came into contact with you and the community, I was just like, yes, like this is so awesome. This is so what's needed. And I think it's also probably because I think coming from I'm the guy that was like I'm super like I mean I studied like psychology and all that other stuff, but I also have a deep spiritual side, and I'm that guy that I talked about that like couldn't charge for what, and I had to get really good at business. I mean, I spent years, 17, 18 years studying with indigenous communities. I'm half indigenous from South America, and worked with a lot of different tribes in Canada and the United States. And there, it's just like such this like old model, old paradigm of coming
yeah,
together and giving and sharing, and the medicine person would give and support the people, right? And at the time, though, like the people would actually like maybe the medicine person would go and help the people, but then the hunters would go and give like it would give and hunt for them so that that could be their profession, right?
yeah,
But I feel like you know, uh uh I I think I felt like to in order to serve, I had to I couldn't charge for my work. So I had this block. So I
yeah,
definitely had to like work through some different things so like business isn't bad, and then and when I came into contact with your work, and I had already like was like worked through it, but I was just like, yes, this is exactly what the world needs, right? Like light workers, all those like healers, all these people that are doing such great work in the world, they need to step into that truth. They need to step into their power so that they can give more, so that they can share more, so that they can feel credible. And I know this is something that a lot that the Soul Professional movement does, is
yeah,
it gives credibility to these different modalities, and highlights that, hey, these things are actually important, they're valuable, and they're gifts to the world. So that's one of the reasons I really resonated with it, and just also I think going back to what we talked about when we opened this conversation, and that gosh, we are in some crazy times.
yeah,
We are in some crazy times, and we need bridge builders. We need people, the leaders out there that are ready to come together. And I think this is something so beautiful. And this is just like highlighting your energy, Camille, and the vision that's coming through with this is, we need to work together, and you're so collaborative, and the movement is so collaborative. It's really about raising people up. It's about coming together. It's about making a difference together because we're stronger together. And so that's really what inspired me is like, hey guys, there is some crazy, beep going on in the world. We better do something about it, and we need each other. So let's do this. Yeah.
oh, so beautiful. All right, so I have questions. I have a question for you guys. Um, what excites you the most about what's ahead in this series? Who wants to go first?
Adam D, all you, man.
Oh goodness. I think it's the guest we're gonna have on. I mean, you heard it from Camille pretty early on, the variety of topics that we can talk about is pretty wide. And you know, we have a lot of great individuals that we know that are to come onto the show and give you a different perspective on what's possible, what's changing, and what's evolving. And I think I'm really excited about the conversations we're going to have, let alone, getting to know you, Camille, and getting to know Adam G, of course. That's definitely sort of the foundation, but I'm excited to build upon your all's experiences and your expertise and bringing in other conversations into the fold.
Yeah, thank you. NMG, how about you? What are you
Yeah,
most excited about?
I just, I mean, following up on Adam D, his, yeah, just having these awesome conversations. I know there's going to be some amazing topics that we're going to be talking about and just pushing the edge, exploring science and spirit, finding that middle. I'm really excited to see, like connect with the other people, what other people are doing, learn more. And I'm also excited yeah, honestly, it's a mystery. So I'm excited to see what will happen, who we're going to come into contact with, what our listeners are going to encourage us to talk about, and these conversations that we're going to be having.
Awesome. Yeah. Um, uh, I'm thinking of myself, what am I going to answer? Same thing. Like, I would love to have these conversations. I think it's going to be more dynamic with the three of us because you're going to think of questions that I didn't think about or go a little deeper in areas. So, um, I'm really excited about who might be on the show and things that we can talk about. Um, and I feel like it's going to be never ending. And I'm looking forward to hearing from our listeners something they might like us to dive into, right? So, because there might be things that we haven't even thought about, or something that sparks from an episode that brings us down another trail that might be really exciting. So, I'm kind of excited and just to see how this all goes. I'm really exciting that this is come forward. Like we've talked about it for a couple months, and then to all of a sudden be here and doing it is kind of exciting and setting it all up. So I'm excited for the three of us to be together and doing this. All right.
Second,
Yeah.
I third that.
Yeah, so I am going to wrap us up now. And I want to acknowledge a listener. If you're still with us and still listening, thank you so much for hanging out for our first episode. And hopefully, this sounds like a series that you guys would like to be a part of. I invite you to stay curious. And our next two episodes are going to be around my co host, and I'll be asking them questions. Our episode number 2 is Adam Dickinson. Episode number 3 is Adam Guzman Poole. And we'll be diving into their specialties. And then by episode 4 and on, we will be bringing in guests and talking a little further. So I'm really excited about that. So I want to thank you for being a listener and joining us for our global conversations and being part of the Soul Professional Global Conversation series, which is what we're calling this. If today's dialogue sparks something in you, we invite you to continue the conversation by subscribing, sharing this episode, or connecting with the Soul Professional community at soulprofessional.com. This series is an open invitation to explore, question, and expand together. Until next time, stay curious, stay conscious, and stay connected. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
bye.
Bye.